I'd like to introduce to you a band that you know and love. Come to you like the sound of equipment being thrown from a moving van, the sound of dead cell phones and oil rigs, the sound of empty parking lots and school buses. They love to live and live to love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Children of America, the White Stripes.
Hello. Come on in. The water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the hardest podcast to podcast. The only podcast actively covering the White Stripes. That's right, pal. I'm looking at you, Striped. I'm looking at you, Striped mid-pandemic podcast. That was really, really, really good. Actually, that was before the pandemic. Whatever. We're doing it right now. We're the only ones doing it, and we're doing it one song at a time, one song per episode. And holy jumping, do we have a show for you today. Mr. Ben Blackwell. Full disclosure, I thought he was older. He's only 5 years older than me. So a young, spry chicken. Helping run Third Man Records out of Nashville. Playing drums for the Dirtbombs. Writing lots of stuff. Writing lots of White Stripe stuff. He's on the show this week. You know, immediately after ending the recording, I just said to Ben, I'm like, well, that's the best podcast I've ever done. That's the best interview I've ever done. Because in that moment of pure adrenaline and excitement, it is. So if you agree with me that it is, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a DM across social media. Send an email to ryan@hardestpodtopod.com. I'd also like to thank Gigi Marie for coming on again last week in our last episode covering Truth Doesn't Make a Noise. An absolute goat of a White Stripes song. Just a outstanding track, and I lost track of how many people in the comments or in the stories on Instagram let me know it's their favorite White Stripes song, because a lot of people did, and it's a song that goes overlooked. So I thought myself writing Gigi's coattails did a great job giving that song the justice it's due. Patreon.com/hardestpodtopod if you want to get a little more bonus content and help support this show. And if you don't want bonus content but you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. Hey, Ryan, what were those 2 links again? Because if you repeat them, people might remember them. Oh, yeah, could you tell us? Sure, certainly. Group of onlookers over my shoulder. Those links again are patreon.com/hardestpodtopod. You can become a monthly backer, and there are 2 tiers available to pledge money. One is the Steady As She Goes. That's $5 a month, and these are Canadian dollars. So if you're somewhere else, if you're not in this beautiful country, these are peanuts. So $5 Canadian for Steady As She Goes. You get access to all the bonus content. And if you are a $20 backer, that is a highball stepper, you basically get the same, but you can also run the show, and you can be like, Ryan, do a bonus episode on this, do a review on this, get a panel and discuss this, and I'll do it. So keep that in mind. And of course, buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. Thank you. Appreciate every dollar that's come in this way, and it goes to very good use in growing and evolving this show. This interview was released early for my Patreon backers, and one listener chimed in and said, you forgot to mention one thing about the Blue Orchid video. And yes, that didn't come up. I figured I would touch on it now. That's where Jack met Karen Elson. She was the red-headed woman that appeared in the video and inevitably could have, we don't know, get stomped on by a white steed, a beautiful white stallion at the end of the video. So love was in the air as one of the creepiest music videos. Easily the creepiest video of the White Stripes was shot, and it's noticeably weird, and it's cool as hell. If I could get a screenshot, if I could get a high-resolution photograph of Meg playing drums as like a marionette doll with on white dishes, I'd print that. All right. It is time. That was my wedding ring hitting the desk. I got to stop doing that. It is time For our call to action this week, I need you to hit pause on this podcast, go to your streaming platform of choice, and go find track 1 off of 2005's Get Behind Me, Satan. It is the first single off the record. It is Blue Orchid, and I want you to listen to it. 1, because I want you to have it as fresh in your mind as it was in my mind and Ben Blackwell's mind when we discussed it. And we want Third Man Records to know that our audience is here and we're present and we're visible and we're making some noise. And the easiest way to do that is increasing that streaming data when we release a new episode. So every time a new episode comes out on a song, we go and listen to that song, and that little blip gets bigger and bigger each and every week. So the fat cats at Third Man Records can see that. On that note, let's go to one of those fat cats. Our guest this week was a celebrated webmaster in the 2000s and a writer and a musician. He's the drummer of a band name dropped by Iggy Pop at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On top of being 50% of the drummers in the Dirtbombs, he is the co-founder of Third Man Records. He is Ben Blackwell. Ben, how are you? Do you feel defeated that I have pinned you down into a corner?
No, I feel suitably poised to beat the shit out of you.
I'm excited.
Got it. I've got the fight in me.
All right. I'd like to see what that left hook looks like over StreamYard. First off, I just want to say, thank you for doing this. Thank you for helping me out with information and responding to emails. I think it's punk rock as hell, and I just really appreciate you helping me up, from time to time, and it means a lot.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm here for.
I love it.
Any schmo with a podcast can get a hold of me and ask questions. It's not exclusive to you. Just don't worry about it.
I want to
get too big ahead.
Oh man. All right. Well, I ask everybody this. I'll ask you. I mean, you're pretty connected to the band. So off the top of your head, what's the first knowledge you knew of the group, and when was the first time you heard them?
That's really good. Jack said to me and Meg have been playing music. This might have been maybe I'm going to say I'm probably in 8th grade. Maybe this is like summer of 96.
Okay.
I remember having this conversation with Jack where I said, "Oh, well, I want to play guitar." And he said, no. He's like, "There's already 10 guitar players on your block." He's like, "You should play drums." I'm like, okay, I don't have either of these. They're like, these are just theoretical conversations. But I feel like in that context, he had said me and Meg have been playing. And so that was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And then, yeah, it'd probably be not long after that. It's probably not long before I hear, not a recording. I guess it would have just been them like jamming or something, me being in the periphery in that, maybe a couple months after that. So, yeah, I guess that's probably, no one's ever going to have an earlier answer for you than that. 19.
With I mean, obviously hindsight's a powerful weapon, but when you hear them playing together, what does something stand out, or you're just like, oh, this is a unique little experiment, or who knows where this could go?
Well, you don't know when you're like, first off, you're 14, 13 years old, whatever, how old I was, you don't know shit to begin with. So you're amazed by whatever. It's just, everything is exciting and new and novel.
Yeah.
And now I would kill to go back to that state of knowing nothing, and that being the first exposure to so many of these things, to live music, to two-piece, to being in a small room while a band is playing, like all these things that are kind of formative in a lot of different tendrils out in my life. But I was just excited to be
included
in the room, like to be in the room, literally and metaphorically, in as much as like it didn't seem like you knew, like I didn't know people who were in bands. It didn't seem like something that you could actually do or was like an option. Like a friend of mine, like around that time, his mom like worked in an art gallery. And that at the time seemed like the most creative job one could ever have. Is just like, yeah, people are usually, they work in a hospital or you work for the city, or everyone just had regular jobs. No one was really like creative or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I particularly was, but in hindsight, that's what I kind of feel like, oh man, having that window, having that insight into this whole other world that exists. That to me is probably the most valuable thing I took away from that. I say now of, having been working in the quote unquote industry for, 25 years.
At showbiz, baby. I remember being like, I want to say like in like grade 4 or 5, and we were when I grew up in Calgary, and we were at the Stampede, and Steppenwolf was playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we went to that, and I was like, why is it so loud? And like, why, like, you just, the exposure to music, for live music for the first time, you're like, why is this, doesn't seem civilized? It's just such a unique, powerful feeling. You're like, why is everybody just moving around? Like, seems like chaos.
You were preternaturally concerned about civility at age 4 or in 4th grade.
Yeah. I can
the place is called Stampede, by the way. That's not civil at all.
Hey, once the sun goes down, anything goes. I went to, my first proper concert was the one over my shoulder in Vancouver here at the Plaza of Nations. And like buy tickets and go to it. Actually, my dad, I grew up in the suburbs here, so my dad I had to buy my old man a ticket and drive us in, and he held all the merch, and he also sat next to a guy, an old guy on, like, there's a little bit of bleachers in this venue. It was an outdoor venue.
I was there.
And
I remember I was at the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Mainly standing room, right? Like outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid venue made of concrete and glass. It was made for Expo or World's Fair. Okay. My old man sat next to a guy who had seen Elvis at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, and the Beatles, and he was going to see the White Stripes, and I'm like, that's so cool. Dad made a friend.
Nice. Very cool.
But I bring that up because, on the subject of chaos at concerts, I went right to like the middle of the pit, and I'm like, well, I'm going to stand here for a concert, and I won't feel claustrophobic, and I won't get obstructed or anything. And like, just got smothered by people, and rightfully so. And it was my mom who was like, after the fact, she's like, you're a big guy, just stand there and keep your feet planted and put your elbows up. And I was like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, someone needs to give you permission on how to act in these situations. You go into them totally blind and totally ignorant to what the protocol is, what is expected,
Yeah. And it's like, as you get older and you've experienced so many things, and like the surprises in life get a little, smaller and smaller, and everything is just so easy to forecast. Like, yeah, the idea of going back into that and just being like, I could die tonight.
Yes.
Just from people, because people, I don't know how to react to these moments.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I completely agree with that. Before we talk about the song this week, I forget where I saw it. You'll be able to tell me because you are the knower of all things. There's a photo of you and Jack in front of their van about to go on tour for DeStyle tour dates. And I think you're barely 18. You got a shit-eating grin on your face, which is just like the greatest thing. And you went and helped out and did what you did. What was that time and that era of your life like, in terms of being associated with the band and helping them out?
Yeah, the photo you're talking about is, I think it's June 9th, 2000. I'm 17 years old. I would have my 18th birthday in Minneapolis on tour. This is basically the first go round upon the release of Distill. So so yeah, I just graduated high school weeks earlier. And this was me, Jack, and Meg jumping in the van for the first kind of real tour. Like, done like 2 dates here, 3 dates here. Pavement was, Pavement was September of '99. That was 3 shows. But this was going to be 3 weeks to the West Coast and back. And I was just so excited. I mean, you're shit-eating grin, perfect description. I was so excited. This is like what I wanted to see the country. I wanted to travel. I loved rock and roll. There's this band that I'm completely just, dedicated to and enamored with. So yeah, just I'd had little tastes of it here and there. We went to Chicago, we went to Cleveland, we went to Cincinnati, but this was like, hell yes, just so excited.
And how are you handpicked for this role? Are you just the guy that's always around, or are you just the cheap free labor?
I was always around. I didn't ask for any money. What was I saying? I don't know if that was wise or unwise in the grand scheme of things. There was no money for me. And also I had just graduated high school, so I didn't have a job. I didn't have any obligations. So that's like that's perfect for someone that you want to sell merch and drive a van and load things in and out. And I had a ill-fated attempt at guitar teching.
Why ill-fated?
This was at the Press Club in Sacramento. Pretty ill-attended show on that run. It was like a weeknight. And
Sure.
how do I tell this quickly? Jack broke a string, and I'm at the merch table, and it's kind of clear, like, I'll take it. And I knew a little bit about guitar, just enough to be troublesome. So I figured out, or it was pretty clear of what string he'd broken, what gauge, and so I can go grab the replacement string and take the broken one off. I've been in a band. I'd played shows and been around
Sure.
him and Meg a bunch, and get the string and put it on and tighten it up. And I don't have a tuner. The only tuner is Jack in line on stage. So I get the guitar. It probably takes me twice as long as it should, but I get it and get it back to him. He gets on stage, and so he's got to tune it. And so he's there, and he's trying, and this look of consternation comes on his face. And then he laughs. And then it's another, like, trying, and then he gets there. I later find out I put the string on upside down. So, twisting a tuning peg.
How do you do that?
So you're supposed to twist whatever. If you twist clockwise, that tightens the string.
Okay.
Counterclockwise. So I'm left-handed, but I didn't know which way the string was supposed to go into the tuning, the housing for the tuning. That was the only time I ever got trusted with a guitar to actually do anything remotely techie with it. So I stayed pretty much exclusive to the merch table after that point. So
no calling for it to be a drum tech in any capacity.
I mean, at that point, it was just like all you really had to do was just set them up. Like, tuning wasn't anything that I ever remember conversations about. Heads never broke. I don't ever remember a broken head on any of those drums for like there was no replacements. We didn't travel with any spare heads or spare snare drum or anything. There was no spare anything. So it was even like whatever could have gone wrong. It was, well, that's it, So
that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way around it. There's no way of knowing what could go wrong. Let's talk about the song this week. I look back at our correspondence and I chuckle because I asked you to do a different song.
Yeah.
And you're like, you appreciated the attempt or the approach, which I liked.
Yeah.
But you're like, you gave me a little not my tempo, which warmed my heart. So further reading of a lot of the stuff you put out, we decided on Blue Orchid, which is one of it's a damn good song. It is a wall of riff. It is heavy. It sounds unique. It's using the electro harmonics POG for, allegedly, according to Jack, quite possibly the first time ever recorded. You've told this story before. I've put it in your notes of a rundown, which is just shit that you have said.
Mm-hmm.
Take me to the moment of where you hear this riff for the first time.
Yeah, so it's in the middle of recording Get Behind Me, Satan, and that recording takes place in the foyer, some might say. The foyer of Jack's house, 1731 Seminole Avenue, Seminole, in Detroit, in the Indian Village neighborhood. So this album was recorded at home, kind of in a similar way that Distill was, but just it was done with like, oh, now you can get real shit. Now you can get real a real tape machine and real outboard gear and real microphones. So that was kind of interesting to have insight into that approach, the DIY now with a budget.
Yeah, with some money behind it. I love that.
But so,
Well, but
go ahead.
before you carry on, in doing episodes about songs from Distill, which I'm going to do my best to keep pronouncing in that way because I overthink it.
It's all good.
Jack's been somewhat against or adamant against recording at home, and he said it, in interviews, that it wasn't the best idea because there was no, not necessarily gun to your head, but clock ticking. It wasn't the most efficient way to make music, or it didn't suit them. There's a few interviews I've read where he's like, you need to be in a space with a clock ticking and it's time for business. What changed for Get Behind Me, Satan, or the recording sessions that would become that album?
Well, it's interesting because I think the similarities between those records are that Distill and Satan, both, a lot of those songs are kind of just figured out in the studio. They're not things that they were already monkeying around with. So if you look at Distill, like You're Pretty Good Looking or Hello Operator, Little Bird, Death Letter, all those songs aren't really things that pre-exist that era of the band, of the recording. Let's Build a Home and Why Can't You Be Nicer to Me are the only real two songs that I think go back to any earlier than what I would call the Distill era. So there's, I think, just a lot of figuring it out. What is this song? How does it exist? And I would say almost the same for Get Behind Me, Satan. I don't think any of those songs on Satan show up as rough versions or anything prior to that album. I'm thinking through it all. I'm thinking through Blue Orchid, My Doorbell, The Nurse, Forever for Her, Red Rain. Yeah, all those songs are kind of just like created largely in the studio. They come to life in the studio. As we did the 20th anniversary Get Behind Me, Satan vault box set a year ago, you see like little tendrils of ideas and demos and melodies that were all just played into a little dictaphone micro cassette. But even that, I don't know to what extent it took 20 years for me to ever know that micro cassette even existed. So I don't know how much Jack was going back and referring to it or not. So I think in that regard, if you don't have a bunch of songs already like plotted out, if you don't know like, hey man, there's 13 tracks, they're all figured out, I know I've got lyrics for everything, then it makes sense of like, well, we're at home, we can kind of take our time a little bit. And you can manufacture the urgency as needed. You can say, hey man, I want to be done next week. Okay, then time's ticking.
Yeah. What was whether what you observed or what was said to you, what was, I don't know, the goals or the plans for these recording sessions? Like, what did the band want to accomplish? Jack's playing and writing a lot of songs on piano. Mm-hmm. Is it just like, I'm showing up on day one with a bunch of ideas in rattling around? Or is there like, how fleshed out is what the album wound up being on day one?
I mean, didn't feel fleshed out from my perspective. I feel like the first song that they try to record is Denial Twist, which were just called Twist at that moment. And it just felt like, it didn't feel like this is a song. It felt like there might be something here. But I also never really sat in on an in-depth White Stripes recording session before. So any of the album stuff, I wasn't there when they recorded the first album. I guess I wasn't really there for anything Distill, even though they did that at home. So it's kind of I was usually there for like a B-side or demos or whatever if being recorded. So to me, it was just interesting to see it's Jack, it's Meg, it's me, and it's Matthew Kettle, the engineer, and that's it. That's
Yeah.
4 people, and I'm not even there for everything. And I'm kind of trying to be available if I'm needed to run errands or to help get things done. But also, I feel like I'm just lucky to be. Again, I'm just excited to be there. So if you're like, hey, we don't need you today, we're just going to do some overdubs or whatever, I wouldn't show up. And now in hindsight, I'm like, why the fuck didn't I just say like, no? Can I just be there? Can I take pictures? Can I write notes?
Yeah.
Whatever. Like why wasn't I there when XYZ was recorded? Oh, because they didn't need me that day. It's still very workmanlike. Of you're approaching it as a job to get done. More in my mind, it was more there's a job to get done versus there's art to be created. Now I can't
Absolutely.
I can't ascribe that to Jack or Meg, as it were, but it was still workmanlike for me.
Without giving away too many trade secrets, could you share what the dynamic was like during these recording sessions? I ask because I've watched the documentary or the docs or the footage of them recording White Blood Cells and what was the other one from the 20th anniversary ones.
Yeah.
But just like, what's the dynamic like? How vocal are each of them, and just I'm just very curious, like, without giving anything away, but just like, what's the vibe like in there?
Yeah, well, I think this dovetails into the song-based conversation, which is it felt from the onset of going to pick up the tape machine until the moment that this riff for Blue Orchid comes out of the air. It felt like Jack was continually like demotivated. That was just,
Okay.
he said in interviews the album was cursed. So it was like when we went to go pick up the tape machine, it wasn't like we had wrong directions, but the place we were picking it up was in Taylor, and if you know anything about Detroit, you'd think, oh yeah, Taylor's, you just go south on 75, you go right there, and it was like,
I was going to say south on 75, right?
But this was in some weird corner of Taylor that neither he nor I were aware of. It was like, no, you actually have to get on 94. I'm like, what the? Well, we're already on 75. Like something in of itself is fine. Okay, but then you have to get other gear. You go into 54 Sound. I think we went to pick up some outboard gear. And then you got the guy coming in to wire everything. So it's not like you just plug in a tape machine. We thought we were going to record that day. And Jack had to call Meg. It's like, man, we're nowhere near having the gear set up. So, first day's a wash, which is, I think, is probably a Saturday. Yeah. So then you try, finally get it pulled together on a Sunday to just like, let's just start to get stuff down. There was a leak in the roof that was like leaking on the tape machine. I think at some point there was a quirk where you could punch in for an overdub, but you couldn't punch out. So if you know anything about recording, that is utterly batshit backwards and not very helpful. Little things like that. In the recording, you can hear Meg's bells fall down on White Moon. There's a doorbell gets rang during Take. There's just all these
wrong
things.
Song, man.
Yeah, just like imperfections, right? Imperfections, curses, whatever you want to call them, until Blue Orchid comes in, and that was the idea that cracked through and could kind of see, oh, now we get it. Now I know what's up. And I'm speaking from Jack's perspective, not mine. For me, I was like, shit, the White Stripes recording an album. This is fun. But
how long after he gets the pog does this riff come out of thin air, out of his creativity?
We could probably pull the master tapes and see what order things show up on the reels. But because I'm trying to think, there's nothing else really has pog on the album, does it? No, maybe Red Rain or Instinct Blues might have it. Yeah. So I don't know if the pedals arrive in the middle of the session or if they pre-exist. I think they might have already been there. They just weren't given attention.
Sure.
That would be my guess, because I do have a memory of having I was covering a wall in black fabric to set ambiance mood or whatever. And I didn't have a hammer, but I had nails. And I remember using some electroharmonics pedal to hammer a nail into the wall. Well, it must have just been laying around. So it probably that wasn't in the middle of the session. That was at the front end of it. So I'm going to say that
you didn't use the wood box that they come in. You used the.
They might not have. Yeah, I don't know if they came in proper wood boxes or these were pre-production, not fully commercial packaging. But
I love that.
So it felt like there was stress, and then now we get it. Now there's a path. Now there's a certain joy, I would even say. And I mean, even then, still, you're making an album where no one was digging ditches here. It wasn't life or death kind of thing.
Well, they got you doing manual labor without the correct necessary tools. I mean, you gotta bring it up to your employer.
Yeah, what the tools at hand, you work with what you got.
Okay, so you're you go out for Mexican food. What do you remember what your order was? What'd you order at the time?
Yeah.
What's your order like?
Yeah, so we're at Xochimilco's, which is a Southwest Detroit staple, still there to this day. And I would have ordered tacos El Carbone with cheese added on top. And I don't know what Meg or Matthew. I probably have written down what their orders are. Jack, I know at some times he would get tacos El Carbone, so maybe he and I both got the same thing. But from where Jack's house was in Indian Village, that's maybe like a 15-minute drive to Southwest Detroit. So called in the order, it was going to be ready. I went to go pick it up, and when I get back in, I enter through the side door of the house. There's kind of like a hallway that leads to the foyer. I'm not even through the hallway, and I feel like I'm being pulled into the foyer. You have to hear this. Oh my God. Like visibly ecstatic and excited, and a energy that doesn't permeate anywhere else in prior to that moment of recording.
Had he shared that level of excitement with something, or that type of dynamic between you two where it's like, you have got to hear this, you've got to see this, I'm so excited about this?
I wasn't too frequently around for the ideation phase, right? So I'm usually like, hey, we recorded this thing, here's a pre-release, or we just got the rough mixes kind of thing. So I wasn't too often there. My experience would probably be more so like after a great show, after an impressive live show, we could have that moment. But then again, that's also different. That's after the show is finished. Like, I'm not partaking in the celebration and enjoyment as it's happening, right?
You're in the midst of the magic at this point.
This is as magical as it gets, motherfucker.
Okay, now I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
One, the only time I hear about somebody's thoughts on a riff, it's Ben Swanks, and it's being what else he got. Yeah. What did Meg think of the riff?
I don't remember anything specific from Meg. She was probably like, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, that'll do. How long did it take for the Mexican food to get eaten, the tacos? Because in my mind, it's one of those things where you're coming in with the food, and it's just like everything else except that riff and capturing it doesn't matter. And I feel like I've been in instances where you're like, oh yeah, I was meant to do that 3 hours ago.
Yeah,
I meant to eat that.
I think I tend to think that we probably ate appropriately. It didn't get you don't leave Xochimilco's to get cold. So I feel like I got in. He played the riff for me immediately, we probably ate and quickly, and Jack and I can both eat pretty fast. So we
Oh, hell yeah. I
we
love
probably
a
scarfed it.
fellow fast eater
Yeah.
here.
Much to my wife's chagrin. Uh,
How much time you got, buddy?
um, but so I feel like we ate and then like immediately back to um, dialing in tones. So I think
Mhm.
I've said before of like he handed me the guitar and said, "Hey, here's just how it goes. Do 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 do." And I was just
Boom, boom,
like,
boom, boom.
just play that. And I that's probably the extent of any guitar that I could actually take
I
instruction
was
on.
uh, Ben, I was going to say, based on what happened that night in Sacramento, the fact that you're getting tasked with another guitar related role and responsibility, this is a big step for you, kid.
It was not for posterity, that's for sure, but definitely, so I would play that, and then him and Matthew were in the control room, which was basically just the dining room,
Mhm.
one step over, and dialing in, with outboard effects, what they want the EQ to be, or any effects, anything like that. But yeah, yeah, I don't ever remember being handed a guitar in the studio any time prior or after.
So you're around for this recording, which makes you a perfect person to discuss this song with. Um, he sings a bit of a higher octave on it.
Mhm.
Was there when they're working it out, was there versions or attempts at singing at maybe a lower octave?
Not that I recall. I don't.
Yeah.
I guess if there was anything, I think it was the riff and the song was locked in, and then vocals came
Mhm.
after. So you'd have to look at that. Get Behind Me, Satan 20th anniversary. I don't think there's any alternate takes of Blue Orchid. So
No, I was looking at it this. Yeah.
yeah, so that means that was the only take that was saved. And that's
Shit.
they probably didn't do too many takes of it. I bet a handful maybe. So um, yeah, vocals were vocals were probably just done. Jack and Matthew. I don't think Meg or I would have even been there for that point. So
What would the album look like? Hell, what would the band look like if this song didn't come that night on Oscar night 2005?
yeah, I think what would have happened was, um, it's pretty interesting to see the first real um, creative step forward after the success of Elephant kind of feels like not what would make sense.
Hmm.
It's not Elephant Part 2. It's still the White Stripes, but it's a different side of the White Stripes. It's focusing on a different um, aspect of it. I never, I mean, I've had debates with people talking about like, is it a piano album? Um,
No,
yeah, we've gone back. I've gone back and forth over the years.
it's like split down the middle. It feels like.
Yeah. Um, I think the piano songs are really strong, and I might
Yeah.
even say the stronger than any of the piano songs on the previous four albums. There's piano on the first White Stripes single, right? Like, but I think people
Yeah.
reacted when Satan came out as that this was some big this was some new revelation. This was something that didn't
Hmm.
exist before. And it's just like, no, this has always been present. Um, so
It's
if it didn't come about, it would have the idea or the energy or the pent up creativity would have manifested itself eventually. So if it's not Blue Orchid, it's something else. It becomes Icky Thump or whatever, like it was bound to get there, it was written in the Gospels.
I we're talking about being kids at the start of this show, and like I was 18, I think, when I was just graduated high school when this album came out, and my, you know, close-minded little boy brain didn't like it because it wasn't like they were still my favorite band, but I didn't like the album because it wasn't the things that I liked on the other ones. Like I love Blue Orchid. I remember the first time I heard it. Um, we had not gotten our family had not upgraded our computer yet, so I couldn't acquire the music, and it was like I needed to wait for it to be on the radio. And I remember driving around, and we live an hour out of Vancouver, so like the radio reception already kind of sucked.
Were
But I
you,
remember
were you
driving
trying
around.
to dance around the fact that you couldn't illegally download this song? Is that what you're trying to say? Or what you
No,
you couldn't acquire it? What do you mean? Like you couldn't download, or what are you?
I don't know, because I definitely wrecked that computer with, Kazaa and LimeWire and Napster and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know why I couldn't get it. Maybe it was too new, but I remember the CFox, the radio station in Vancouver, played it, and I was driving around on like this rural mountain road in my lovely little Chevy Lumina, and I like, oh, that's the song, or I'd seen a clip or something, so I like pulled over, and I just remember like laying there in like dusk listening to Blue Orchid, being like, this is the best song ever. The whole album's going to sound exactly like this.
Yeah.
And it didn't, and it kind of bummed me out. But I would never say at the time, I'm like, well, this sounds so much like things are, it sounds like other elements. They've just turned up the gain on piano. They've turned the gain up on acoustic based songs. But Blue Orchid just made it so easy to transition from the hits off of Elephant, and made this album, which, depending on what day of the week it is probably their best album in my mind. But it made it a hell of a lot more accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's normally you dissect the lyrics, but this is just something that seems like it came together quick, and you commented on that. Jack allegedly has said it. I got to tell you, Ben, I was nervous for this interview with you.
Yeah.
Not because of your imposing nature, which is imposing, but so far in every episode in the past and most moments in my life, I am the knower of things with this band.
Yes.
And normally I am like, in my prep, I'm like, wow, he'll know that. He'll tell me that, because like I don't even want to try to cite this interview or that interview in the past. So I've had a few steps in guests that I am nervous about. The woman, Melissa, I can't pronounce her name right. You went to journalism school with her, who did the Finding Meg White article.
Oh, Melissa Giannini.
Yeah. I was nervous for her because I'm like, this is somebody that's been in the scene. This is somebody that's been in the Magic Stick, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm just a mark. So Jack said in the lyrics, Jack said in interviews, the lyrics are about him longing for classical entertainment industries and the turmoil of the newer industries. Sent him through. This song fits the standard narrative and theme of Satan, which is he always says it's truth, and this is following a scene going sour. Again, I'm not looking for name names or very specific.
I'll fucking go there, dude.
Okay, so it was the Blanche album release party.
No, I know. I'd be honest. Like, I've never talked to Jack about what these lyrics are about, whatever. But I mean, it's not a stretch to think that it could be about Jason Stolzheimer. It's not a stretch to think it could be about Jim Diamond. You got a reaction, didn't you? You got given a flower. You took a white orchid, turned it blue. Something better than nothing. Something better than nothing's giving up. Truth is showing up. Get behind me anyway. But like, here's one thing to keep in mind. I was reading the Bible the other day. Get behind me, Satan. The phrase, how it appears in the Bible. Do you know? Are you saved? Did you go to church on Sunday? Do you know the actual genesis of this phrase?
No, but please lay it on me.
So
Father,
get behind me, Satan is basically like Jesus is speaking in regards to evil. Get behind me, Satan. But he's saying it to his friends. He's saying it to the apostles. He's not talking to Satan. He's telling these apostles who are trying to, someone will correct me in the comments or whatever. But this is not, he's not speaking to someone that's inherently the devil or whatever. It is theoretical. It's philosophical. It is vaguely spiritual. And so I think in regards to you addressing the death of a scene or the perceived death of a scene, like that to me falls in line with like the people that you were next to, the people that you were working, the people that you were helping. Jesus helping the disciples. He was trying to lead them to salvation. And this guy was saying, well, stop, Jesus said, get behind me. Say, he's calling his buddies that. I only landed on that recently. That's within mere months from here. So any of those things, it could be anyone that was in the orbit that that there was very public airings of grievances and issues and lawsuits and courts and all of that stuff. So I could also be totally just imagining all of that. There you in the press release for that record was a fictional conversation between Jack and Meg.
Yeah.
And in there, I remember sitting there with Jack writing it. This conversation didn't happen, guys. This was a tool to tell a story. But I remember at some point, Jack has the line in this, imagined dialogue of like, I don't write about myself or my friends in my songs. I remember doing that, and like we're sitting at the computer, whatever. We're like, bullshit. But I don't have it. I don't have any proof otherwise. I just have like what I think, and that's just my opinion. So, I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's something that is totally beyond my comprehension, and I hope maybe none of us ever do know that. So. I touch on this the essay I wrote for the lyric book, available now. Buy it, thirdmanrecords.com.
Got it right here.
Oh, did you finally read it this time? You do that. You want to do that before or after the Union Forever episode, Ryan?
It's a good thing you're charming.
Yeah,
because
it is a good thing I'm charming.
Yeah, and man, I appreciate that insight. Yeah. I was not necessarily looking for thoughts into the meanings behind the lyrics, but leading up to Satan, it's troubled waters. It's friendships kind of dissolving, and a scene that's not lifting up the band that maybe it once was, or in a way that Jack and Meg lifted up other bands. So, and not looking for specifics or names, but I'm like, what did it feel like? Like, are we just talking about cold shoulders? Are we talking about, shit talking behind backs? Is it just like, they're not here to support the band anymore because they're too big and they're doing X, or they're too featured on MTV or what have you?
I didn't live through that personal feeling, right? I was adjacent to the people, the person, the band that felt that way. So for me, who had nothing but love and appreciation for it all, I kind of felt like, I'm like, how do you not like what? You don't feel good? This doesn't feel. But I also, it wasn't my thing to feel, right?
Sure.
So I think it's probably true to the people that lived it. They felt that way. And it's not wrong or right. It's just, how you feel in a situation. So I don't know. Detroit is a rough town to be successful in. And it's a rough town to have risen above the rabble, right? When everyone's all, the best anyone can do is sell out the Magic Stick, but that's all that everyone's doing, then it's great. No one's really, it's kind of hard to be competitive in that regard.
Yeah.
But when you start getting more prominence, or you start making more money, or you start getting attention, other people, they start saying, well, you're not, who the fuck are you, man? Like, you ain't better than me. Like, well, it's not
Mhm.
better than, that's a value judgment. This is art, right?
And that pops up in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you realize that the people that you're surrounding yourself with, either by choice or just based on the environment, it's like they don't have the best interests in mind for you.
Yeah.
And those are tough experiences that, whether you're fucking selling out the magic stick or you're working in a mill or what have you, like you learn, unfortunately, that not everybody wants you to be doing your best.
Yeah, that can be frustrating. And people show up with their hand out, with their palm open, expecting a handout. Money makes things complicated. um there's a moment in, I think it's in the Detroit, It Came from the Garage documentary, where they talk.
I haven't watched that yet. Should I?
Yeah, sure, why not? What else are you doing? But there's this.
I'm supposed to be working right now.
Yeah, me too. But no, there's a moment where people are talking about, like, why the White Stripes got big, and it's like, oh, well, they had a look, and they had a gimmick, and they had this and that, and it was a slow news week, and John Peel played them, and all this stuff. And it was interesting, of like, if you go back and look at it, no one says, like, Jack wrote really great fucking songs. That's why they got big, And now
Because they had,
we're looking.
every album was out, at least an 8 out of 10. You're not, art's subjective, but like there's no bad album.
Yeah.
I can't think of a bad song on the on an album.
Yeah. So it's
maybe on the B side of this, but
it's so you think about that, of we're now 25 years later, and the White Stripes are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jack is still playing, I would argue, as great and as exciting live shows as he ever has, at this point in his career. So it's to me, it's like, is everyone else's problem?
Yeah.
Is everyone else is like, well, why is everyone looking at that guy? Well, the fact that we're talking right now is why everyone was still looking at, why everyone was looking at him.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's move into the song's legacy. The working title for this segment is Little Room, Big Impact.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine. It's working. Don't really say it out loud too much.
Yeah.
This was the first single off of Get Behind Me, Satan. Ben, who were the people on the single?
Hired actors. Just like
That's it?
Yeah, it was just there was an idea that they were supposed to look like Jack and Meg, but not exactly. There was a moment, maybe this will be the first revelation. At some point,
let me write this down.
Yeah, at some point, I don't know if it was meant to be this single or a future single or a remix. So Michelle Gondry and Jim Jarmusch did a remix of Blue Orchid with them depicted on the cover.
Yep.
Or maybe it was even when they talked about doing the live direct-to-disc recording in New Zealand, that they were going to do a variation on the cover. But I remember hearing that there was a proposed idea was recreating the Get Behind Me, Satan album cover with Johnny Depp as Jack. It at least was an idea, as much as I heard it said out loud. I don't know how much further it got than that, but
who said it?
Jack. This is like this wasn't just like some two stoners on the side of the street. No, this was the innermost circle.
A couple of Miller Lights deep, maybe. That's a hell of a thought.
Yeah, I think there was a voicemail from Johnny Depp at some point regarding it.
Quit looking like me.
No, it was, but I think in regards to this proposed idea. So, what was I getting at? Oh, who are the people? Yeah, they're just models. I don't even know if I could find their names if I tried.
Okay, that's something that I've wondered for.
Yeah, like a local Detroit casting. Hey, we need 5 people to do this, and whatever the specifications were. look like Jack, look like Meg, somewhat.
Somewhat. This album, the single reached number 43 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 7 on the Modern Rock Tracks, and the catalyst for the all Canadian cross country tour in 2007. Blue Orchid went number 1 in my home and native land.
Holy shit.
So that means like most, that's a lot. That's tens of millions of people right there, Ben.
Nice, I dig it.
Music video. This segment unofficially is called "Get Behind the Camera, Satan."
Okay.
Yeah, I got him.
Yeah,
I got him.
well, yeah.
I don't know. How do you pronounce the director's name?
Floria Sigismondi.
Did she have a? Is it actually? I didn't. Is that a? Doesn't matter. Did the director? What was some? Do you know any off the top of your head of any of the previous works that the director did before this?
Not off the top of my head, but I know she had done some shit.
What's your thoughts on this music video?
Probably the White Stripes music video I've seen the least in my life. Which doesn't mean anything, but
brother, I hadn't seen this. I haven't watched this thing front to back in decades, and I was watching it this week and prepping, and I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff, but I just
I like the ending. What was it? The
horse.
Yeah, the horse coming down. Like I remember that being a really, really strong visual conclusion to it all. But yeah, music videos are kind of these weird things. Like it's not really, it's someone else. Usually it's a director who comes up with a treatment. And maybe it involves some of the ideas or the creativity behind the album. It might be totally standalone, separate. When you look at, when you look at My Doorbell or the Denial Twist from this album, like those are, the vibe of these 3 videos. There's it's 3 completely standalone different videos. And that's, I think, in the nature of the album, as it were.
Yeah. And hell, the video that this preceded of I Just Don't Know What to Do with Myself. Again, these are vastly, vastly different. For me personally, watching it back, I love the idea of Meg playing drums on piles of dishes, and then there's a quick cutaway of her eating a plate, and I'm like, man, that should have been more frequent. I love that. And for its live performance history, Ben, we don't have a clever name for this. It was first played on allegedly. Okay, so I'm sure you know everything. Setlist.fm has there's some
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's a good starting point. I use it. I've got tabs open on my laptop right now of setlist.fm, so
Well, it was first played at the Auditorio Coca-Cola in Monterrey, Mexico, May 11th, 2005. So that's interesting. It was Oscar night, so early February 2005, and February to March. 3 months later, they're playing it on stage.
Yeah.
And it was last played at their last show, the Snowden Grove Amphitheater in South Haven, Mississippi, just down the. I guess that's right down the road from Memphis, right?
Suburban Memphis.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, even though we weren't doing the song I originally pitched, I went back and read your write up of the band's final, that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's the essence you've captured in that write up is outstanding, and it's still a bit of a gut punch, and it just sums up how all knowing and how Meg always knew what was up.
Yeah. I mean, it can be a gut punch, but it also, like, we're lucky that this ever even happened to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, so grateful that we even can feel that gut punch, But yeah, that's one of my more favorite things that I've ever written. Everyone go read it.
It shows.
Yeah.
You are very good at capturing something special.
Yeah.
In preparing for this, you kind of answered my question about early days. I was watching them play Glastonbury in 2005. which I remember illegally downloading off a torrent, and it lived on my computer for decades. And
There you
what a performance!
Yeah.
She's beating the shit out of those toms. My question to you: how I don't really remember in watching bootlegs or live performances of her breaking skins.
No.
How? Because she is demolishing those things.
I think beyond that song, I think that's probably the hardest she was hitting toms any song. But I don't. Yeah, I don't know why she didn't break heads. Great question.
I also had I had Steve Bays, who was the lead singer of Hot Hot Heat.
I
He did
listened.
an episode.
I listened to that.
You listened?
One of the few episodes I listened to. Yeah, you get big name, I'll show up, dude.
Hell yeah, brother. He mentioned in it that they were playing that festival. They were playing a radio gig together, and he noticed that they had drum triggers on the kit.
Yeah,
and he's like all inquisitive. And then I remember on a Reddit thread, somebody explained that those were used as, I don't know, limiters or something because of all the mics on stage. Yeah.
So I think this is like, if you go back to old White Stripes, the message board, the little room, people flagged that pretty early on. And I remember talking with Matthew Kettle, who was the live sound man, who also was the engineer on Get Behind Me, Satan. He's like, yeah, everything is so loud on that stage that I can't have open mics on all of the drums. I put these triggers on, which can serve as a noise gate, which he explained to me, if you imagine the head of a drum, the rim of a drum, the metal rim, that's what these noise gate triggers clip onto. And it's the response time, or the delay it's real time. So as soon as your stick hits the rim or it hits the skin, that's the signal for the gate to open. And so the microphone can capture that. So, Jack's got, he's got 200 watt Silvertones. He's got a Fender Twin blasting decibels on top of decibels there. It just was really, really difficult to manage that from front of house sound. So yes, there were triggers. They were not triggering any sound. They were triggering the opening and closing of like a dam, holding back a torrent of water.
Nah, what's happening is her kit's just evolving into some sort of Tommy Lee Motley Crue nonsense. And, Get Behind Me, Satan, Shout at the Devil. Am I the only one connecting these things, Ben?
Yes, you are. 100%.
That's fair. As a solo artist, I found this interesting, but it kind of makes sense. I'm curious about your opinion. Jack's performed the song allegedly 37 times. He only did it 4 times before COVID. First played on the Lazaretto tour in 2014. Last played it on in Sacramento. His strings were properly put on his guitar for that gig, or so I'm hearing.
Yes.
I heard him play it at the Commodore last year. I thought it was awesome. I watched right before he hopped on. I was watching one of the times he played it on the Lazaretto tour, and I don't necessarily think it worked the best with that band he was touring with at that time. Lily May was doing a lot on that fiddle. Why do you think it took so long for this to make it into the repertoire? Because he's playing it quite frequently now.
I think it's probably just like, it doesn't seem like there's ever been like a conscious decision to include or not include something of like, we're not playing that, or I think a lot of times I see it's just like, oh shit, I forgot. Like, well, you consider how much material he's actually culling from at this point. When you 6 White Stripes albums, 6 solo albums, Raconteurs, Dead Weather, assorted covers, whatever.
A couple of Coca-Cola singles.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, like that, it's interesting to see that manifestation of White Stripes songs filtering through into solo sets. So I think last year, or on the most recent tour, he played "Girl, You Have No Faith in Medicine" for the first time in X amount of, and people were like, "Holy shit, he hasn't played this!" And I was like, "Oh, he hasn't? I guess he has." Like, why don't you? Because he's not approaching it in a let me write the set list, let me let me teach everyone all these songs. A lot of the times if he plays a song, it's just like, oh, it popped in my head and I want to play it. It feels like it'll fit here. And Dominic has to like shout out the chord changes, whatever, if this wasn't something that they ever learned. But that to me, it makes me appreciate it more, I guess I would say.
Absolutely.
Let me say one more thing about live. I'm gonna take control here, okay? I'm the captain now. No, there's a scene in Under Great White Northern Lights where it's Jack and Meg talking backstage about Blue Orchid. Does this ring a bell? Do you know what I'm about to say?
Yes, where they're talking about the speed of it.
Yeah. And
I love shit like that so much. That's what I want.
And I get name checked as Jack is talking to Meg and says, Blackwell says we're playing it too fast.
I can't tell when if we play it right. Like Ben's been saying, we've been playing Blue Orchid too fast. But tonight when we started out, I was like, oh, it's just so fucking slow, man. Like, but that might be the right way to play it.
And
I believe that.
Remember this because I am always of the mindset that you should play things as fast as possible live.
Thank you.
But I felt in that moment on that tour that Meg's tempo with the bass drum lost the groove of the song. So, you know, it should be like, you got a reaction. That's kind of what it's like on the album. I'm not a metronome, but that's close. But I felt like live, it was like, you got a reaction. Like, whoa.
Yeah, totally.
What I like about the song, about the groove to it, is kind of like that. The Pog gives the articulation of the strings. It gives it kind of a sound that I always likened it to the Gap band. Like if you think of like You Dropped a Bomb on Me, how that sounds when you're kind of sliding on the strings. That's what the song sounded like when Jack first played it to me. I was like, this sounds like the Gap band. I was surprised that I never saw anyone else kind of felt like no one else ever tagged that, which fine, whatever. But I felt like that groove, the opportunity for that groove is all lost when you play it double time. And that's what I was missing. And that is, you know, I rest my case, Your Honor, basically, in terms of
feels like she was playing it at a kind of Blue Orchid Live kind of reminded me of Hardest Button to Button Live, where it was just like sped up and pulsing.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with how fast they played Hardest Button to Button. I'm okay with that one being sped up. But also what needs to be addressed too is there was a moment, this would have been when they did a 4-night stand at the Greek Theater in LA in August of 05. No, 03, they did a 3-night stand, and then they did a 4-night stand in 05. But
yeah,
they were playing Blue Orchid. I'm pretty sure it was that tour. If it wasn't LA, it was right around that time. But there was a moment where they were playing Blue Orchid, and I kind of like my ear attuned to the sound on stage, to the sound Jack had gotten out of his guitar. And I was like, oh shit, that's really, really a really, really sick tone. Sounds so lame saying it like that. But I remembered this guitar tone. I hear in this guitar tone, man, that's sick. That sounds really, really thick and heavy. And it almost sounds like the tone that Jack got when they recorded Party of Special Things to Do, the Sub Pop single. I remember thinking that in the moment. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then the next night they're playing Blue Orchid again, and they stop, and he starts playing the Party of Special Things to Do. We hadn't talked about it, but it was just like we both kind of got there, and him getting there is way cooler than me just kind of noticing, right? Like I'm not taking any credit for anything. Like, and then they started playing Party of Special Things to Do as kind of like an interlude
what
segue into it. And yeah, like if you go to the From the Basement, like top 10 moment for sure.
As we wind down here, and I thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
What do we hear at the beginning of the song?
It's some weird echo effect on Meg's drum or something. But it's meant to it's made to sound like a helicopter or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, yeah, I think that's what it is. It's some weird just like studio effect or trick.
2 questions. I asked this to everybody. The next time you listen to Blue Orchid, if and when that ever is, what's gonna rattle around in that noggin of yours?
I'm probably going to be. I'm going to. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I don't know, but I'm probably just going to fixate on that guitar tone. I think that's special to me, and that's if I have to pick one thing, that's probably most likely.
Excellent. Now, I have to ask you: are you aware of the lofty goals of this podcast?
Yes, I am, sir.
Do you know what? Could you recite them?
Yes, you want to interview Jack White not 1, not 2, but 3 times.
Yeah.
For
3 mystery songs.
You've already picked these 3 songs, right? They're not just random.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've picked 3 mystery ass songs, and you want to interview Jack 3 times about these.
That's right.
Okay.
So my question, and only I know them.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, who helps on the show, she doesn't know them. Nobody does, and I won't tell anybody.
I've never trusted your wife once.
She's a lovely woman. I think you get along with her great. We're going because he's not coming to Vancouver. We're hauling ass to Dublin to see him on the tour coming up.
He might be coming to Vancouver. Don't put all your eggs in the Dublin basket.
Shh, we already bought the tickets.
All right, I won't tell your wife.
Listen, she's a patient woman.
All right.
Okay, so my question to you is, with all that being said, with my big lofty goals on this podcast and all about Jack White, my question to you is, would you come back and do another episode?
Oh shit. Yeah, sure. 100%. That's gonna be way bigger ass than that. No, absolutely.
Okay, that was Ben. I'm Ryan. Ryan and Ben. Incredible human being that Ben Blackwell is. Much like the mystery songs that I hold close to my... They're so close to my vest, they are duct taped to my vest. But much like that, I like to keep that a secret. And then at the end of this episode, when I stopped recording, there was an exchange between the two of us that was pretty damn cool to hear. And he joked that, oh, you hit stop at the wrong time. And I went, yeah, maybe I did, but that's a fun little piece of information, and that's a great little exchange that next to those 3 mystery songs, I'm going to keep close to the vest. Thank you for joining me on this journey. The Hardest Podcast to Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Likely. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer, and the one and only Swole Mike Noble is our Gato.